Bruce, you must have something really good too.
Of course I do. It's Bruce Danielson, and I guess I'm here to entertain you too.
All right, we get this shindig on roll. Okay. So everybody, okay? A little more of a chill house this time around. My name is Jordan Deffenbaugh. I'm with 4D Design and Consulting. This is Drinks and Design. The point of this is just have a nice open conversation about what's happening in the realm of design in home building in South Dakota, or in Sioux Falls in particular. So tonight, what we're focusing on is, are we doing this right? Now, in the tradition of, or basically saying, are we doing this right? We switched up the entire orientation of this and moved right over here and tried to do a little something different. And we'll see if it works by the end. But I asked you all, what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong? Are there any more suggestions that I can run up there? I wouldn't, that right side is looking a little light, and I want to be positive these days, but anything?
We're building.
We're building. Let's write that. And what else? What else?
We're not stopping either.
Not stopping. We're building. And not stopping.
Low unemployment.
Low unemployment.
You can put that in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Jordan, I see a lot more dreaming. You know,
What's that?
People are dreaming more. They're what they can do.
Dreaming. Yes. Okay. Anything else?
One thing that's new is like the Home Builders Association has just gone in with the STI in the last year for more
Yep.
subcontractor carpenter.
H-base.
Yeah, workforce development. would probably be
STI.
part of that.
Yeah.
Part of that low unemployment, which is a negative impact.
Workforce. Yeah, I know. They didn't choose that name. Workforce. All right. Anything else? Okay, any more wrong? Do we have anything more on the wrong side? No?
When I talk to people out here, there's a lot of different softwares being used in drafting it.
Okay.
So that's funny you mention STI because I am a student at
Yeah.
STI for architectural engineering, and it seems like, okay, we're focusing on CAD today, we did SketchUp, then we're doing Revit, but then you talk to somebody like, yeah, but we use Chief and we use that. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of continuity.
Continuity,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that might be part of the difficulty in
That's-
finding people who fit the bill.
No, that makes sense.
Design.
Just design in general?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, cool. All right, we're on here. Okay, so now to start this talk off, I want to introduce our panelists up here. If you want to just say your name and
Yeah.
background.
Sure,
yeah.
I'm Bob Natz. My background's in architecture. I've been in this city for about 25, 30 years. Started off in California. I grew up here, moved to California, and then came back. Have a company, Natz and Associates, mostly commercial. Every once in a while, I get lucky enough to get a nice home, which I really enjoy doing. But not like yourselves, where that's your mainstay. And so I can learn a lot from what I understand. A lot of home builders and people in the home trade. So I'd like to hear as much as I can from you.
Mhm.
So
Cool.
All right, my name is Shannon Globke. I'm with Muth Electric here in Sioux Falls. Been with Muth for about 21, 22 years in the electrical industry. Again, mostly on the commercial industrial side of it. But I guess we're here to talk about sharing ideas, and so that's kind of what the aspect that we're here to is to learn from you and hopefully learn from us a little bit too. But yeah, South Dakota born and raised, small town Marion, South Dakota, not too far from Sioux Falls, so living in Sioux Falls now.
Cool, cool. Now, I want to ask you, Bob, what are we doing right?
Well, kind of hit on it, dreaming. I think people, a lot of it's from the internet. A lot of clients that I have are much more aware, both from a technical standpoint and from the project, from taking the whole project. When I first started, you're almost working with clay, and now you're working with some people that are bringing to the project their ideas and their insight. So that's a big thing, and I think we're doing that right. That's both the positive and the negative. You also have people that they'll show you a steel frame structure in South Africa, and they've got a wood frame budget, and they want you to do that. So that can be kind of a problem.
Actually, I want to write one more thing. Based off of that, I'm probably going to run back and forth. Costs.
Yeah.
And not knowing them or whatnot. So, all right. So, anything else? Right?
Yeah. Good start.
Yeah.
I guess for me, the fact that you're here tonight and that you're having these types of conversations, that's a big piece of what you're doing right, because taking that time to stop and say, okay, what's not working? It's kind of ironic. One of the things that we do in our company, in our lean process, is we call it chalk circle. So here we are writing on a chalkboard. We literally draw a circle on the floor with a kid's crayon or chalk for like sidewalks. We draw a circle in our work area, and we stand inside of it. You stand in there for 10 minutes and watch what's going on, and then decide what you need to change from what you saw. It just forces you to stand and look. Well, that's what you guys are doing here tonight. And so that you're doing it right. You're stopping and saying, okay, before we get caught up in this year's busy season, what can we do different? And so I think that's admirable that you're doing that right. Also, the other thing that I've noticed recently, and I had a chance to spend a big portion of this weekend out at the Home Builders Show in our booth, which again, we're not really in that market, but we like to support the home builders, is the fact that I think there's really good camaraderie amongst all the home builders and the trades, even more so than, say, in the commercial end of it. I think the commercial end of it gets to be really, I don't want to say cutthroat, but it's very competitive, very harsh. And it seems like the home builders have a really good core group of people, and they're really self-promoting of everybody, of the whole group. So I think your industry is good and has a good stand there, promoting themselves and promoting what's going on in Sioux Falls for home builders. So I want to congratulate everybody on that as well.
Cool.
Something I hear, and I'm not in the business at all,
Yeah.
but this is what I hear from people that are either building commercial buildings or homes, is that there's such a huge difference in Sioux Falls between real professional builders and real unprofessional builders, and I'm sure it's true everywhere, but people see it here a lot. For cost saving measures, sometimes people aren't going to hire someone as professional. But is there something that you guys can do to make sure? I mean, you guys are professionals. You want
We'll tell you what.
everybody to be.
Let's I'm gonna ask
Okay,
him one more
I just
question.
put it out there.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
We can jump on that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask him one more question, and maybe that might come up. But the next question is, what are we doing wrong?
Well, Shannon and I we were talking over here beforehand, I struggle with the bidding process in Sioux Falls, and I see a lot of very successful projects that are where a client will work directly with the contractor, and I think it's a positive outcome for more often than a bid project. That's all I've got.
Yeah.
I think there's an awful lot of things we can talk about that are wrong. That's
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
For me, I guess I've been in, for 22 years, I've been in this commercial industrial world, and I don't want to say I have a lack of knowledge of what's going on in your world, but I don't want to really hammer on something for being wrong, because I don't think I spent enough time on finding out what's wrong. I'd really love to hear. I'm looking at the thoughts up here on the board, and it's giving me my ideas of what we can input and talk about, but I don't have a specific thing that I find that you're doing wrong right off the bat.
Gotcha. Well, to start off, I say we would jump into the first one right there. I'm gonna go back and forth. Sustainable products. What's wrong? And is that, I'm guessing it has to do with the lack of sustainable products that are available. Why is that? And
Well, and the cost of them when they are good, they tend to sometimes outprice themselves. Anyway, that's
Well-
what we were doing.
Well, so what I want to try and figure out though with this group is why aren't we using sustainable products? Is it holy price? Is it holy price at the end of the day? So are we? So what are the big stopgaps? What are the big bottlenecks? Is it an awareness thing?
For me, it seems to be cost.
Is it cost?
It always seems that when you're pushing the green theme, for some reason it's more expensive. And I don't know if it's because people will buy it because it's green, so you can charge more, or does it really cost more to produce that? But if I'm building something, I would have to say, what's my initial cost? How much higher is my initial cost? And how long is it gonna take me to recover that initial cost? These savings that you
Yeah,
have.
unfortunately, that's what I see too.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, again, there aren't enough people with the heart, or, the mindset that we're going to do this project with a sustainable project, period. When it comes right down to it, they want 15% more house or something else, opposed to.
I think part of it is availability as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that plays into the cost piece. I mean, chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
But demand creates availability,
Yeah.
as I'm concerned, and obviously demand affects cost and
Yeah.
supply and all that other stuff, but I think it comes back to like the uneducated public on, I like the cost comparison, how soon can I get my money back on it? But if we're actually like enforcing certain expectations for building codes per se, like on insulation, it's like, okay, we don't have a choice, we have to use,
Right.
foam, or at least a certain amount of foam, and then,
Right.
whatever else.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, is it like, in terms of sustainable products, I mean, is it a balance between awareness and regulatory measures?
Well, so I guess I put that up there.
Yeah.
I see all this multifamily going up.
Yeah.
Right? You look at like the monster buildings that Paradigm's doing on the south side of town, and okay, obviously that's costing a boatload of money, but what's that project gonna look like in 20 years? Those investors are gonna flip that in 10 years. It's gonna get into somebody else's hands. Then what is that, or what is all this building gonna become 20 years from now? I mean, we're building houses right now, or say we built houses back in 1990 that we have issues with right now, with rotting, whatever else. That's right when the start of time that came out, whatever else. But, you go to a house that was built 100 years ago and it's rock solid. It doesn't make any sense to me, and we keep, building cheaper and cheaper houses. It's all about affordability, but it's like, okay, sustainability.
Do you think there
What
was
are these
more
gonna be like?
craftsmanship back then too, though? I think there was more craftsmanship. back then, too.
Availability of materials, or like at the cost, I mean.
More pride.
Right. Where it's,
My grandfather owned a construction home building business back in the 70s. And he built the whole house. There was no subcontractors.
yeah.
And I think that was probably a difference too, because you knew you had to lay the foundation correctly, or the
It's your
roof
house.
wasn't gonna be right. Where nowadays, I mean, this is just the way I looked at it, and I worked in construction a little bit myself, is that you have so many subcontractors working on a home or a commercial building, that if one of them screws up, the next guy's gotta fix it, and that may be the reason why things aren't lasting as long as they do. I don't know, I'm just putting it out
Well, I
there.
think there's a few things there. I think back in the turn of the century, their code enforcement was the next tornado that was coming. They wanted everything to survive.
Yeah.
And today, it seems to be almost more than anything, the code enforcement is the lawyers around the corner. And that's not a bad thing. It makes everybody's game a little higher. But it's a different world today than it is. And can I just have show of hands if there are any developers in the audience? You touched on something here.
Very small developer.
Yeah, okay, all right, well, that's, good. I mean, we need more developers. But I think one of the things that I see in Sioux Falls, probably more than, well, that's not fair, because I live in Sioux Falls, so I just see a lot of it. But it's projects that are built with the return on investment as the sole delineator of what this project is going to look like. And you know, it kind of takes out of the realm the social responsibility of the building. And you know, back 100 years ago, that was part of the mindset. We're going to build this thing and we're proud of it. And that's, I see less of that.
There's a lot of cookie cutters.
Yep. But that's necessary too for, you know, for low income housing or what it might be. But, you know, again, it's a different world.
So, you know, we can all dream about the sustainable piece of it as far as the products, the actual structural pieces, the wood we're using, things like that. This is sustainable things that we're doing or not doing. But until either a group gets together and says this is the way industry, we're going to use these products, or you're going to set some mandates in place, whether it's through, you know, it would have to be a code for, you know, actual city come and say we're going to mandate that every construction project can use this much sustainable. That dollar figure, sad to say, is going to rule out. I mean, it's just, and so with that in mind, you have to decide how are we going to do business, knowing that. Are we going to set our business apart and say we're going to take a stand and use sustainables, or you know, try to convince our customers that this is the way to go, even though it may be a little more? How does that marketing work? How does that look? Because until there's a mandate of some sort, it's really going to be the people in industry taking that charge and leading that.
Yeah.
You know, and say building buildings that are based on viability and aesthetics versus how much can they turn on back to me in cash next week. And well, I look at it in our industry, in the electrical industry, solar. We were talking about it before the meeting here. Solar is booming right now. Where is it booming at? It's booming in Minnesota. Why is that? There's a mandate. We're not doing any of it in South Dakota.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no
not
mandate.
right either, though, mandating it.
I know, but that's why it's booming, and so it's going crazy. That's a sustainable. It's energy. It's solar energy. It's green. It's all those things that we're talking about. But the only reason why it's going is a mandate. If they take the mandate away, it's gone. And that's where, so we don't see it in South Dakota. We don't see it anywhere. You know, it's not happening in other locations that don't have mandates.
Sometimes society needs a kick in the pants. It's like, why is the seatbelt a law?
So it is 50-50 though, because I was in Colorado, very green state.
Yep, very good state.
And it's very, so much, like the sustainability piece is, it's the cool thing to be sustainable. Like LEED certification is a cool thing. Yeah, is there even a LEED certified platinum home in South Dakota?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Is LEED
I don't think so.
certification a requirement for state projects, Bob?
Yes,
State
for a lot of
funding.
them, yeah.
And so, but that's one of those things, but even when solar lost their funding in 2009, something like that, every solar company in Denver, Colorado basically shut their doors because they didn't have anything to do. And I saw it firsthand on a project where there was 60 panels on an Olympic-sized pool natatorium with a hydronic system, and the school district, it caused issues for them because they have a hydronic system that runs in the wintertime that had issues with freezing of hydronic panels on a rooftop. So it's a twofold thing,
Yeah.
requiring people to do it and making sure that it's important to them.
That goes back to educating the public.
Right,
Yeah.
so as a homeowner with absolutely no expertise
Yeah.
whatsoever in any of this, I will say that you get it beaten out of you. I mean, you go to the furniture store and you say, I want sustainably produced furniture. You go to the carpeting store and say, I want sustainably produced, and they look at you cross-eyed like you've got 10 heads, like, well, that's ridiculous, you're never gonna be able to afford it, just give it up. You start talking about solar and you find out that's almost impossible to get. And we're looking to you as the experts to say, here's how we do this, yes, this is possible, here's how it goes. And eventually you stop asking because everybody shuts the door in your face. So there are, I guess, people in the public who are interested in sustainable production, but we don't know where to go.
Yeah, and I think that's where the mandate would actually benefit a lot of people. We would require everybody to be in tune with what other people want.
Or at least understand and be educated that this product is more sustainable, it's at the same
Yeah.
price point as, like, it's not, what type of granite countertops do you have in your house? It's, I've used these sustainable materials and I have a net zero impact on the world. Like, that could mean something to people if they were clearly educated in the process to get there.
Well, and I think that's, a lot of it is, if I was working with a designer, with a brand new home or whatever, and he or she came to me and said, okay, you can do it this way, but if you wanna work with sustainable stuff, here's an option two. Here's the difference in cost. Here's where you make it up. You know, I mean, it would be an educational process, but it would have to start in the process of designing that home, and it would have to be presented to me
From the core.
from the core,
From
in
the
a way, where,
foundation.
you know, you have these SIPs and these ICFs and all this stuff that's awesome stuff, but nobody's using it. I mean, it's phenomenal stuff, but the average Joe knows nothing about it. And the only reason I do is because I went to school. You know,
But those
that's
are the
it.
hurdles that your industry is gonna, as an industry, you're gonna have to figure out how to make that education piece
Right.
happen. We are, in the electrical business, Muth Electric is considered one of the, I don't know, companies that's more on the cutting edge of technology, of things we'll try, new products, and we've, things that people have never seen before. Trust me, we catch flack for it all the time, and whether it's from engineers or architects or owners or code enforcement or whatever, will come into the product that nobody in this region has seen. They're like, we can't do that, you can't use that, what is this? You know, this is, and we're like, no, it's really, it's a good product, you know, and they're like, well, you can't. And we'll show them study after study where this product's been used in, 20 different states, and it's been used thousands of times, and everybody, oh no, it's just complete blasphemy, don't talk about using this in this town, you know. It takes education, you have to work with those engineers, architects, owners, and work through that process of showing them this product is good, this product works. It's better than what we've been doing, it saves money, it saves manpower, it saves all these resources, but convincing people that new products work is tough. It really is.
And I want to jump to another one, but I think I want to ask the question: is like, how do you educate? Like, what's the most efficient method to get ideas like that to sink in?
Put it on the internet.
I think.
Well, there's a lot of stuff on the internet. There's a lot of great
Instagram.
Yeah.
So things like this are great to educate. So there's not a ton of people here, but everyone in here knows 5 people, right? It's just
Word of mouth.
I did not make it to the, I have to apologize, I did not make it to the home builders show this year, but I have been to the AAA convention, and I wonder if at the home show, do they have conferences, do they have a conference hall where they'll talk about certain subjects that might
They
be
have
sustainability?
workshops that, well, I guess, I haven't been to many of the workshops at the home show.
they didn't have workshops this year.
They didn't? I thought they
Oh,
had
no,
most of
that's
the
some.
There were a few.
There were a couple.
Mainly their poor attendance is why they don't
Yeah.
turn into a big.
That would seem to be a
The public
really
doesn't
big
have a problem.
opportunity.
I think well, and a lot of the workshops are based on, this is my business, and I'm gonna tell you, so I can promote my business. Not so much this is the product, or this is, as far as changing, how to get people to listen, it's persistence.
I think you see a society changeover as like 4D construction or 4D design is a higher end, newer, modern design company. They're replacing the company from 10 years ago. Young minds, fresh ideas. So they get used to all the new technologies such as Muth is bringing in. And as people retire, the new generations come in, and it's a trickle-down effect. It's like
Totally agree.
people don't build their own houses anymore. The carpenter doesn't build the house from top to bottom. They're subcontractors. That's what they specialize in. They take pride in that because they're taking care of their family, and it's the growth too.
The consumer has expectations that going into anything that they're going to purchase, anything that they're going to get into, they have certain expectations that they have established. Sometimes those expectations are things that have, over years, you've learned them, you've lived them, you've understood them. Other times it's their expectations are based on what they've been told by who they deem as being an expert. Or so in our situation, the builder telling them, well, this is the way in which we could do it, and we could do it for this price that that sustainability, that type of thing. So, and educating the consumer and what that price is, you know, always definitely something that continues to evolve, and then that consumer becomes educated on what they have then too, you know, and what's out there, and how they can make that happen for themselves.
Well, you know, you really have, I guess I see it right now is and looking around this room, and a few people are older than me, and a few people are younger than me, but this isn't a real young crowd in here, but I think the advantage now of change, and the advantage of helping sell this idea of sustainable, or whatever it may be, the new idea, is the new generation, the young generation. A lot of times we hear the word millennial and everybody kind of gives it a bad connotation, but it's not. It's people with very new, refreshing thoughts and ideas on how this world should work. And so you have two kind of markets that I see, is you have the new, young generation that's open to this idea of sustainability and renewable energy and all these thoughts based on the fact that they feel that compassion that we should do something for our world. We should leave this world better than what our parents left it. And then you have the people in this world that are the people that have had some success and have been able to put some money in the bank and say, okay, I've got some cash. I can actually build the house the way I want it, with sustainable and with renewables and everything, because I can afford to do it and have that zero impact on the world. Those are the type of market, and you got to go find those people and sell it to them. And
Yeah, you think the world's moving fast now, wait 7 years when millennials start changing the world. That's really gonna be.
But if you got to be prepared for it. That's what I would say is just on these things here. It may not be here now, but if you don't start setting the groundwork in place, by the time you're ready to sell it to them, they're already going to be buying it from somebody else. So,
I think the next one. I'm gonna pull from the right side. I guess we're building and not stopping. I didn't write no, excuse me. And not stopping. What in that realm? What's right about it? What's good about it? And then we may talk about the other issues of it not being so great. What do we think?
I didn't write it, but I'll just venture a thought on that, is I think the economy, the local economy has allowed some bravery, and that's helpful, I think, for a growing community like this. Like we have, it creates some bigger imagination is always good. Creative thinking is always good. I think that's what that's about. I don't want to put words in somebody's mouth, but I also feel that that's a good thing. If we don't see the door slamming anytime soon, we're all going to venture out of our comfort zone a little bit.
I want to say one thing on it. The negative connotation, I think, with that, because it is constantly moving, and that means that is money coming in at the bottom line. But like we say, like you said at the top of the show, it's like that doesn't leave time to think about what's not working, what isn't, and it build, and that's I guess more on my end where my issues is like development patterns. You talk about growth of the American city over the last 50 years, and it's been constant expansion and urban sprawl and massive footprints, as opposed to higher density areas with more economic and cultural impact within those spots. So I guess what I'm saying is how do you, say we're constantly building and not stopping, how do you build in that awareness of what you're building? I mean, at the end of the day, it's clients' money.
It goes
You
back.
pay.
It goes back to outreach, but
Yeah.
you need to. You're doing it right now. You're in your way. You're educating people about things. And I totally agree with you. Higher density would be good, but you have to show people why that's a good.
Yeah.
Why don't we want urban sprawl anymore? What are all the benefits of walkability? That's not intuitive for a lot of people. So somebody has to bring the message.
Well, customers are relying so much on their contractors, but, anybody can become a contractor tomorrow in this town, which is probably wrong.
And maybe we'll keep on that.
But it's no different than what you said. It's like, your customer, or your customer's contractor said, hey, you have this, you can do this with this budget and whatever else, and they come shopping or whatever. They're listening to the contractor And they don't realize not to trust their contractor in most cases until the project's over and they're, pissed off at them, which tends to happen a lot of the time. But it's like, okay, what's the responsibility of the contractor? I think maybe put more pressure on the contractor to educate the customers to bring those products to awareness.
So, would it be good for Sioux Falls if the likes of a Lennar or a national home builder came?
Like Toll Brothers or something,
Would it be good? I'm just bringing it up. So now you've got the guy who's gonna come in and like all these people who are talking like, yeah, I'll give you the best bang for your buck, all those things. Well, guess what? You're gone. Because now this guy comes in and just completely changes the face of what you're doing, and prices are cut by 20% at least.
It's a bit like Walmart coming to a small.
I would interrupt.
Why is Toll Brothers or those large?
We're not to 400 yet.
400,000?
I feel like 400 is a magic number. You go down to Omaha, you see it.
Okay.
You go up to the cities, you see it. You go to Denver, you see it. And then you have the small contractor is either like a home remodel contractor, or you're in that like custom builder that you're doing your own detailed thing, but you basically wipe out, you make, I don't know, Kelly Nielsen. You make a Kelly Nielsen house, but costs 50,000 less. Because now you've got national contracts and all those things. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it'd be good, or it'd be bad, even for our subcontractors level, because it'd be cutthroat more than it already is.
And
I think it'd be better for the
Are
environment.
they a union employer or not? I don't know anything about.
No, you're never.
Are those big
You're never
builders?
going to get a union started in South Dakota.
No, but I mean, are these kind of builders union
They change
employers?
wherever they go.
Okay,
So
it
if you go
depends
to-
on where they're at.
So if you go to Kansas City, all like the Carpenters Union in Kansas City is extremely strong. You go up to Minneapolis.
So it depends on where they're at, yeah, okay.
And you're gonna follow what happens in the local demographic and adapt. Just like if they'd come here, you'd have to adapt.
You know, we talk about, urban sprawl and all that kind of stuff, and that you should try and educate people on the benefits of the more densely. I hate that. I hate it. I left an 8-acre piece of property with a stream and a barn and I'm living on a postage stamp for twice the amount of money.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
So to convince me that I'm living a better life,
Well,
It'd be
I
difficult.
don't think it's so much we're trying to tell
It's the
people.
different, density in terms of having access to resources and walkability. I don't think
what do you mean by walkability?
be able to walk to get food, walk to like.
You'd have to be on top of each other.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends. Or if you're in like Holland, or if you're in like Berlin.
Well, it's how
or
we
if
built
you're in-
McKenna Park. That's a walkable community. It's the way we used to build.
Downtown.
Well, it's
doesn't-
happening,
Downtown
it's
is-
happening right here, right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Downtown is another.
Yeah, but then I look at it and say, I'm gonna go downtown to get a taste of that.
Yeah, well, so we're
You know what
not,
I mean?
so, yeah, I mean, certainly everybody has their choice to live where they want. I think for communities.
Different levels of income of where they're gonna live.
Yeah, and a lot of the, depending on how you wanna cut that pie, one of the big aspects of walkable communities is building infrastructure costs go way down. So your taxes go way down, property taxes go way down.
Economic.
So it just allows other things to happen while not spending so much money on other things. So there's some real practical reasons for doing it.
Are there any builders, she brings up a good point, but are there any builders, home builders in Sioux Falls that are promoting building very modern homes, but a lot smaller?
No.
Because I see these huge homes being built, and I go look at them and I go, there is so much wasted space in this. In this place. You need a living room that big, or some of these bedrooms. My house could fit in some of these bedrooms. It makes me laugh. I have a house that's 100 years old, and is there any builders in town that are saying, you know what, you can build a sustainable home, and this thing will last for 50 years, 100 years. It's smaller, but you'll have all the modern things you could ever want in this home. It's just smaller.
No, one that we could put on both sides, covenants.
Covenants.
And
Yeah.
zoning.
Yeah.
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 those dictate what really 99.9% of how Sioux Falls is. Covenants and zoning ordinance.
How does time play into a factor? So you have, customers wanna build a house and, I'm actually, you didn't hear, I'm actually from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm here just for the night, but, out there, that's right.
I don't even find out. I'm just
Pretty good, yeah, he's putting the word out, right?
Well, what, I did a lot of work for Wayne Homes, which they're a big builder out there, but they're I guess I call them a speed builder almost. Yeah. They promise you in your home in 120 days from the day you break ground. So how do you factor in sustainability? How do you tell them about sustainability? How do you tell them about the good contractors versus bad contractors? It kind of all plays into the product.
I think, and I could be wrong, but the strength maybe of the Sioux Falls community is its fragmentation of smaller builders.
Okay.
Because, well, like we said, we're building and we're not stopping.
Right.
Well, there's a bunch of us though. It's more fragmented, thus there are more opportunities to experiment and adjust. Whereas, I guess with something like a large scale contractor, it's like these are the operations, these are the systems, and this is what you have to do. So,
And they've streamlined their operation to where you go in and you've got 10 different homes to choose from, or 8 different homes to choose from. You can make small modifications to them, but it's like you're building home A, B, C, D, or E, we went and roofed a lot of them. And you brought up a point about foundation to the roof, it makes a difference. Believe me, we were on a lot of crooked roofs. Because you have, the soft contractors just don't care, and then it just filters up.
And here's, I guess, looking at that idea of time and worrying about, whether or not the big home builders are gonna come in, the national home builders are gonna come in, and all these things, they all kind of, coming from a large contractor. I work for a large contractor in the realm of electrical or any trade. We're a large contractor. Cover a big footprint, have a lot of people. We do pride ourselves on the ability to build fast, but that doesn't mean you have to cut quality. It doesn't mean you have to cut corners, it doesn't mean you have to treat your people any differently. You can do a lot of things inside of that, and talking about this streamlining of procedures. Everything that we do is streamlined, and that's why, and we're constantly, that idea of constant growth, constant improvement. And so taking a look at what you're doing today and how can you do it better tomorrow. I would highly suggest that everybody in this room, you talk about, well, is that big builder coming? Prepare for the day, they are coming. So how do you get better so when they get here, you can compete against them? And you have to come up with systems and put those things in place. You have to be lean, you have to be tight, you have to have everything on point. Otherwise, when they come, you will fail. You can defend against the Walmarts, you can defend against these big companies if you're ready, if you have that your practices in place. If you're sloppy and you're building in a way that, everything's always going to be fat and happy and the world's going to be great and there's going to be plenty of money in Sioux Falls and everything's going to be wonderful, when those people come and when those changes come, you will suffer the consequences. And I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer, but that's just truly how it is. And that's why we look at constant improvement. I come from that idea of this lean manufacturing to lean construction. We've taken on lean construction in our company. We've been doing it for a lot of years, and it's this constant improvement in our day-to-day activities. We have standard operating procedures for everything we do, every position in the company. Everybody knows their goals, everybody knows what they're trying to do, how fast they got to do it, they know when they got to get it done. But yet we don't let off on the standard of what we build. And we don't just bring on products because they're quick and fast. We bring on products because they're quick, fast, and as good as anything we've ever had, if not better. And so this whole getting quicker and getting faster is not the enemy if you know how to do it and you do it in a processed way. If we just throw stuff at the wall, it's because it's faster, you're going to end up with a mess. And we've tried products and went, oh, that's not going to work. Let's back that up. That was a bad idea. We tried things that we thought were going to save time, and it turned out that it affected our quality. Oh, can't do that anymore. Take that out. The president of our company a couple weeks ago sent an email, said he walked onto a job site, saw a product that we've been using that we thought was going to be a good idea. Next thing you know, we get an email out to the entire company. Stop today. Nobody use this ever again. It's not what I wanted. And so you don't have to sacrifice that quality to get that speed.
Well,
And I wanna make this note, we are 8 to 10 years away from a quantum computer. The AI revolution is happening. There are going to be new things that we cannot even fathom just in the next 2 to 5 years. So, not just the big home builders.
Oh, everything.
Everything.
Well, there's robots that build cars now. I mean,
Yeah.
you can probably, probably in a decade, there'll be a robot that'll build you a house.
I think I just saw a commercial where you can buy a car and they drive you around.
California in April.
Yeah.
So, but I think the next one, hey, save that for another day. So I want to jump over the wrong, and I want to jump on costs. How do we, as an industry, or just homeowners and anyone looking, get people to understand how much things cost? Labor, travel, shipping, materials, just to get people to understand that things cost money. How do you do? What's that?
Show them the detail.
Show them the
I had
detail?
a master bath totally gutted, 2 other baths, not gutted, but redone, and the kitchen, everything. Line by line, he showed me everything,
Mhm.
everything.
Okay,
I would go back to him, perfect. Cost a little bit more,
okay.
but it was terrific. I knew where every dollar was going.
Mhm.
I'm an accountant, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
I liked it, but, because people have to understand, because you get the sticker shock.
Mhm.
But then when you look at, well,
The
this is gonna
breakdown.
cost this, and there is a little overhead here, and I gotta pay my guys, and I gotta, if you have common sense, you'll understand it.
Yeah.
What if they don't have common sense?
Well, there's a lot of that going on.
See, that's the myth.
Trust.
Yeah.
Trust and honesty
Yes.
is always,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Grandma
Just be
always
very-
taught you
be
that,
very
you know.
open.
Yeah.
It still holds true for today, and for the future too. So we continue to believe that, the person that we hired to build something for us or to fix something for us, if we believe that they're looking out for us, that they have our best interest, we're willing to pay as consumers, we're willing to pay that extra in order to make that happen, because we trust them. We understand that what they're doing is the correct thing, so maintaining that trust, maintaining that honesty and integrity is always gonna be important.
And communicate.
One of the things we talked about prior to the show, or the event here tonight was about, we're talking about that low bid piece of it, and that trust. And I mentioned to him, I said, that trust is almost broken when you start that low bid process. When you go to somebody and say, how cheap can you do this? You, as the owner, you basically just violated the trust situation here. Now you're saying, give me the product as cheap as you can possibly do it, and that's all I care about. So now that general contractor or that tradesman or whoever it may be is going, okay, I gotta get as down and dirty as I can and give you what I can give you for the dollar that you wanna pay. And then I'm gonna spend the rest of this process trying to make up that money somehow, somewhere, some way. And that trust factor gets broken right off the bat. And so when you can work with a builder or work with a homeowner, vice versa, back and forth, and show them, hey, this is what we're doing, and giving them that honest feedback, and you get such a better end result in product versus that just give me as cheap as you can get and forget about it.
So with that honesty aspect, just say like you're in those first initial meetings or whatever, would it be a thing where you say like, you could come, everybody wants it cheaper, everybody doesn't want to spend any money. Could you just say that? But hey, we gotta make money somewhere.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's gonna be a worse process if we start off with that sort of mentality. Yep.
So that's what you say.
Yeah.
So there's a GM Billion dealership in town.
Yeah.
And I sure do see a lot of Denali's rolling out of that thing, and that's not the most expensive vehicle on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And the hard part is understanding the scope, the expectation. And like with Shannon in the commercial market, when you send out a bid, there's a clearly defined scope and expectation for the process, or for the job.
Yes.
The job bids out, what bid time is at 5 o'clock on Tuesday, bid goes in, you do the project, you complete the work, everything matches up. Oh, there's a change order because the transformer had to move 200 feet away from the building. Unit cost on feeder wire for 3 feet transformer is this much cost. You got to estimate and do it. That's a legit change order. That's a clear, easy track to understand and follow. When you say, I'm going to build you a custom hot rod, and I don't really know what we're doing, and it's going to cost you $120,000. Well, hey, guess what? I'll go down and buy the pickup that they made off the Chevy line for $40,000, and that's $60,000 less. Like, that's the hard thing, is that predefined scope and expectation never gets established in a custom home. That's why we do this.
Yeah.
This thing.
Or in any building.
Yeah, well, and we do a lot of design assist, design build, and again, we're putting that spec, that process together as you go. We do that all the time. And yes, we bid a lot of hard bid specified projects that are cut and dried. Those are easy. They're the ones that are very easy to do as far as estimating. And if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And that's it's those custom projects with a lot of you are involved in that are a tougher negotiation. But you have to be fiscally responsible for yourselves, and if you're working for a company, for that company. So if you're the owner, you have to. I had a customer asking me a question about some cost overruns on a project, and there was 4 different contractors working on these projects. We all had our own little pieces, but we're all doing the exact same thing, just different locations. And there was a change of scope. That wasn't clearly defined, but there was definitely a change of scope. And the customer came back to me and said, "Why are you asking for extras? None of these other 3 are asking for extra cost." I said, "I can't account for the lack of fiscal responsibility of my competitor. I know that this is an overrun. I know that this costs more. I know that I have to take more money out of my pocket and give it to you because of what you did." Now, if my competitor isn't intelligent enough or financially responsible enough to know that, then that's their issue and not mine. You can't feel bad about making money. It's never a bad thing, but you have to be fair with it. You can't go back and gouge them. Now, with that, we are very.
Did she smile at you?
Actually, they appreciate it. But again, that's going back to this transparency thing. I tell them, when my price comes to you, you will see every penny of where that change cost is coming from. And we show them, line by line by line, every dime, all the material, the labor, the taxes, we break it down probably to a point where they're tired of seeing how many, all these lines. But then they know, hey, this is what the extra was, this is where the money is being spent, and let's have a conversation about whether or not this is the right thing to do and go forward.
So in your question, do you ever see specifications when you're bidding out, or do you ever provide specifications for subcontractors?
Well, I mean, Jesse would answer that more specifically. But
Yeah, the hard part is so many times when we're designing a set to bid docs is, especially if it's very custom, you're looking at a lot of things where I've never done this cantilevered floating stair detail before, and no one in the United States has either. What's it gonna cost? And then you, just like what Shannon said, I mean, Sioux Falls has a lot of good people that what's fair is fair is fair is fair is fair. I mean, I say it a lot, and that's true. It's like, if you treat people with respect and earn that trust. Trust is a big thing in this whole industry. You can't trust the person that you're working across from. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because you second guess everything along the way. But you're just trying to get that specifications built as well as possible to establish that expectation. Because you can build a 2,000 square foot house and double the cost just based on how you finish it out and how you detail it with all those expectations and finished pieces.
But on the commercial end and the residential end, you have your specifications and you price it out. And the project that your customer thought was costing $1 million ended up costing $3 million. So then we value engineer everything with a new set of specs. Then they agree to it, then you build it, and they're like, well, that's not what I wanted. And it's like, no, but that's what your budget wanted, and then all of a sudden you're still the, ass, I guess, for, the contractor that didn't listen and you did everything wrong and whatever else. It's just a bunch of crap.
I wonder, it's maybe this, I want to ask this question, how to not be an ass, but be realistic.
The transparency and the integrity,
Yeah.
because 9 out of 10 contractors in town lack the communication skills to have integrity, to hold the transparency, to produce, happy customer.
Communication and knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, that goes back to, anybody in here can go be a contractor tomorrow.
That's my question about the professionalism thing.
Yeah.
Do people have, whether you're building a commercial building or you're building a house, do people in Sioux Falls have any really good resource they can go to and go, I'm gonna hire you over
Some other guy.
some other guy because I know you've done this many homes, you have these kind of credentials, Bob has these kind of credentials, I'd hire him before anybody else. You know, the Home Builders Association,
Parade
obviously,
of
is a
homes,
group.
go to your
Right.
contractor that you're interested in and get a list of customers. And
Yeah.
then
But I mean,
interview
is
all the
there
customers.
is
That's
there
the
a
best way to
resource,
go.
is there an organization or just an internet organization, let's say, a website that people in Sioux Falls can go to and go, wow, this is a really good list of really good contractors I could call? Or is it just kind of a?
It's all perception.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that.
Not really.
See, and I think that's kind of I think that's a problem, but I think the
There's a
reason
few-
it
Yeah,
exists
love it.
is it,
So the homeowners association
Right.
cannot have, they cannot set criteria that lets them say that you're an approved contractor or you're not.
yeah.
Homeowners Association is a nonprofit that's just, they're
They just
they're
take
a
people's,
resource.
they're like the chamber, they just take people's money who wants to belong to them.
Yeah.
Really? I mean,
You know, I
They put
personally,
Yeah, no. They provide a lot of resources for the home builders themselves. They put on the shows like the Parade of Homes.
Right.
They do a number of things, but it's again though they do need to be open and inclusive as possible and not play favorites because then you will have issues. But at the same time, a value or what were you
So
gonna say?
like ENR is a national magazine that ranks national commercial contractors. There's like no such thing when it comes to like small scale areas other than like local best.
and those rankings are based on dollar amounts of the project size, not necessarily anything else,
On the
right?
large,
Yeah, and a lot of times like magazines will do certain things when you go to like that little bit bigger.
do you think it's because it's so busy in Sioux Falls that the builders aren't worrying about that right now because they have so much work that they're not worried about being listed or not listed, whether they're good or bad, just because they have so much work and so many referrals that this doesn't really matter to them? That maybe if the building level started drying up a little bit, then
There's
it
some
would
legal
be.
matters too, obviously,
Yeah.
with liability and things like that, where, you know, slinging somebody's name through the mud, you know.
When I meant, I mean just to.
There's definitely, well, a networking, getting
Right.
to find out who the builders are, being able to make contact with those builders is definitely, is always important. If anybody was building, they should definitely do their research and find out, you know, find a builder that's gonna, you know, meet the needs of their expectations, you know, that type of thing, so. And those resources are similar to what you would find at any other city that would be about our size too. You know, so, whether it's through home builders or through the chamber, through just word of mouth in general, you know, external.
And I think you get a lot of different levels of builders too. Like, I own a small design company and I get contractors that do 3 or 4 houses a year, and they always have a pool 2 years out. They don't care about advertising or getting on Facebook or being part of the home builders.
Right.
They always constantly have a pool. He's worried about what he's gonna be doing on the weekend. He's not worried about advertising his business. But then you get the builders that are so involved and they're doing 12 houses a year. They're so worried about the fine details of their business, the day-to-day, that they don't care about Facebook ads or YouTube videos or, you know, the home show. Because, again, they're worried about themselves and their business.
Yeah, it's really.
That's what I'm saying, it's so busy, it seems like it's so busy in Sioux Falls with building, that those things are just kind of.
It is busy. I rely entirely on referrals. It's a good thing the 3 people that know me are out there spreading the word. But I think it is really an individual thing. Some people choose to advertise, some people choose. And that's similar on the opposite side. When people want to build a home or a building, they start asking around, or they start going on the internet and looking around. But the reality is, I think if you had like home builders associations, they are restricted to what they can, because they're members. They can't tell you who's gonna be better than the other.
Get a lot of politics involved in that, good and bad. Maybe somebody's really good, but he's not in the right group, so people don't talk about him, they want to use from their group. that's really hard. You can't do an internet, because somebody could go on the internet and write something bad.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're their competitor. You
Yeah.
can't trust that.
No.
Best thing I think to do is to go to that builder, ask them, give me some of your customers' names, your previous customers, let me talk to them, and if that contractor doesn't want you to talk to them, I'm gonna not hire him.
I
If
think
you
it's,
have the list of names, yeah, go ahead and call anybody you want, and he's a good one.
I think it's a low-tech solution. It's not gonna be, it's make it as human as possible. And two, there's also some clients are not ideal clients. So like there could be a situation where somebody might badmouth the builder, but that person might be crazy. So just
I know a big contractor here in town and he's told me stories.
You tend to find, I have 2 points. You
Yeah.
tend to find that if people are upset, they're more likely to review,
Oh,
say
yeah,
something
yeah.
on the internet than anything else.
Yeah.
If you have a wonderful experience, you're lot less likely to say something about
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
That's unfortunate, because, it's very unfortunate, because, you know, that, all you see is the negativity.
it's
It's the same way in the restaurant business, and I've learned this when I work in the restaurant. If someone has a bad experience, they're likely to tell 12 to 20 people.
Right.
If they have a really good experience, they're likely to tell 2 people.
Right.
Yeah, it's just
On
kind of
the
strange.
other side, we
Yeah.
talked about trying to find a contractor. I'm sure they're in a lot of the towns, but in Pennsylvania, like I live in Westmoreland County, we have a Facebook group called Across Westmoreland. There's 20,000 members to it, 30,000 members. People will post out there all the time. I have X project to do, who do you guys recommend? They'll get 50 recommendations. Now, you gotta filter through those. Oftentimes there's duplicates though. So you get, what you're kind of getting at is you're getting out to the customers, the previous customers of contractors. And there's obviously admins on the group and stuff, but you get posts back all the time. They're like, you know, people are asking for home builders, people are asking for simple projects, people are asking for anything from A to Z. And you can get those recommendations. Is it high tech? Is it bulletproof? No. But it can give you direction. You know, it can give you direction as to who maybe to talk to, who to look at.
Okay. I'm gonna put that one to rest. I don't. I think it was at cost. That's where we were. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna pick code enforcement. Exciting.
For $500.
For $500. Yeah. So, what's wrong about code enforcement? And I guess, may I ask who wrote it and what? Why so?
Okay, so for example, I'm a finish carpenter. So in one part of the town, I will do a cable reel, which is becoming very popular, and I'll put them so far apart to meet code. And then I'll go 2 blocks over, put in a cable rail, be a different inspector, and he'll grab it and pull on as hard as he can. And that doesn't meet his inspection, but it beats the other guys.
No consistency.
There's no consistency between
Consistency.
Or they're emphasizing the wrong issues,
Yeah.
I'd say, in some cases.
Yeah. Now with the code, with your with just the whoever is coming in, is it just basically? And now, granted, and I'll with me, I am not as active or ingrained in the home building industry. I am a marketer of sorts. But what are do they basically maintain to like the code book that is like?
Yeah, but it's just
It's
how they
interpret-
how
based
they
on the
interpret it.
interpretation.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
authority having jurisdiction, and authorities having jurisdictions they're all human beings.
Yes.
And they all look at things through different sets of eyes.
Yeah.
And they read it, and they have the ability to take a code article or a code reference and see it how they see it. And that consistency, we see it in the commercial and in the electrical world as well. And it's a little bit sad, but I used to be in our service management piece of our company, and I was doing some quoting in there, and somebody would call me up and say, I want a service change out. And my first question was, what part of town do you live in? And that wasn't because I was interested in where they lived, that's because I knew which price I had to give them, based on which inspector they were going to have.
Wow.
And that shouldn't be.
No, that shouldn't be.
Because this inspector is going to make you do this, and this, and this, and this, and this one's just going to have you do this and this.
well, and one guy's ripping out something and the 2 houses down isn't.
Yeah. So it's, that inconsistency is a problem, and it's, how do you fix that? It's really, you know, I said that it's that human factor, and that these are human beings that have these positions. They're good people, but they just see it different ways.
No, I know nothing about your line of work, but now the good side of this, in my opinion, was requiring 100 amp service to everyone.
Yeah.
You know, now we.
Oh, yeah, there's-
eliminating all kinds of problems for the next homeowner.
I don't want to ever get on the fact that I don't think we should have code. That's, our industry is heavy on code, and more so than any other industry out there. And you want it for life safety and for all those things, and for longevity of homes and happy customers and all those. Code enforcement is wonderful. Consistency of code enforcement so that you know how to price your work, you know how to have happy customers, and all those things is the key. And I think that's really probably the bigger issue. It's not that you have a code, you just like to see it enforced.
Well, it's fraud. But
Same.
it's, you know, I see both ends of that, and there's a lot of the code that doesn't make any sense to me, and I see a lot of manufacturers at work, you know, heavy into the details that have written code for themselves, you know, quite honestly. And then, so, you know, a lot of it is a product of our country.
Yeah.
But it's,
some of the code is capitalistic. I mean,
Yeah.
the majority of the electrical code that gets written is written by manufacturers. It's not written by engineers or architects or electrical and professionals. It's written by manufacturers trying to sell product. Now, there are some legitimate needs to that safety. Everybody, you know, GFIs in your homes, you're like, oh, certain things keep tripping, or the AFCI breakers now, and all these things are a pain in the butt. But they have real practical life safety aspects behind them. So I don't want to complain about those. I think that if there's anything that can save a human life, let's do it. But that, when it's those gray areas.
Yeah.
And I will say this, and without trying to, I'm in a public venue, so I'm like, sometimes I think, well, no, sometimes I worry about the personability, the responsibility of a city employee to realize that there still have to be, they're representing the community, they're representing the dollars that the taxpayers and the homeowners and the construction professionals in this community are spending, and they work for us. And finding a way to relate to us in a way that we would, if I come to your home, you expect me to be professional at all times, to be personable, to do a good installation, to be nice. Sometimes I think that some of them forget that I'm not just, this is the way it is, and if you don't like it, shut up and get out of my way. I think, hopefully our community can start changing. I think there's a piece that we can change in our code enforcement in a way that Sioux Falls city government runs. There can be some more of that human aspect of, we want to take care of give our consumers, who are our tradespeople, our general contractors, our homeowners, our business owners, give them that personal satisfaction of getting a good experience, getting that same experience that you expect if you went to a restaurant and you got a good, good wait staff and a good, why don't we get that from our city?
I can tell you this, as someone who follows city politics very closely for the past 12 years, that is one of the number one things that candidates have been hearing in this past. One of the number one things they've been hearing is that citizens are telling them they want better customer service out of city employees. And they say they're good people, that they don't have an issue with the job they're doing and they're doing a good job. They just would like to see better customer service out of them, whether that's code enforcement, police, fire, whatever. So I can tell you that hopefully on May 15th, they'll start looking at some of those things. Because I know that, especially code enforcement, there is a lot of complaints about them. And building inspectors. And they hear a lot about them.
I know most of them, and I said I think they're all good people. In fact, a lot of them I grew up in this industry and worked with alongside. A lot of them came from the industry side of it and have gone into the civic duty and part of it, civic positions. But I think that's just having that consistency so that you don't have to wonder, is this going to work here in this house and not in this house? And then having that, being able to have the conversation when that code enforcement official says, hey, this is wrong, being able to have a conversation about it and not be looked at as like, why, how dare you even ask me? I mean, how dare you stand up and ask a question? To me, those are the things that have to change.
Where does that conversation start? Like where?
Between 7:30 and 8:30 every morning.
And after 4
They're
o'clock.
there that early?
And after 4 o'clock.
Well, but I mean, like,
So to Shannon's point though, if you got a question, ask them.
Yeah.
Oh, but wait, it's not going back to.
Well, so
code enforcers.
Don is Don and
You-
Brian
yeah.
is Brian.
But that's the thing, it's a humongous difference. I can call up Cleo and ask him anything, but if I ask Don why he busted me on this, he's like, it's not my job to educate you, fix it. I'm like, well, if the code is up to your interpretation, I'm supposed to fix it. Because I'll fix it. And perfect example is like I built a house on the west side with Don. He busted me on 15 different items that he made up. Went 2 blocks away, built the same house, he inspected it again, didn't bust me on any of those 15 items. And it was a cracker-box house, it's like, so the consistency again, but remembering that they work for us. Can they not help educate us on how, you're trying to have a discussion with somebody like Don, you're having an argument, you're not having a discussion.
I think one council candidate brought up something, I can't remember which one it was, it might have been Tom Hurlbert, but they brought up in a forum that maybe better technology with the inspectors, where they all share the same, same kind of pad or something, so they're all following the same way they inspect it.
Just so you know, that there has been a massive upgrade in the city's technology piece of that. As far as code inspection goes now, that's a whole different animal than it was 5 or 10 years ago. Now, all that information is basically public information. All those code inspections, if I get an electrical inspection done at your facility or a general contractor, and they pulled the permit, they see everybody's inspections now. Before that, it was just the electrical inspectors or electrical contractors' information. Now that general contractor gets to see what the plumbing corrections were, what the electrical corrections were, all those along the line. That's all accessible for everybody. It goes to the owner, it goes to everybody. Everybody can see that information. So that transparency has gotten a lot better.
But how long are they gonna keep that information? There's a problem with the city that I know in about the last 10 years, they've gone through 3 different software programs. And they've never transferred a lot of that data over.
And I can't speak to that as far as how long, but I will say that has gotten better. What I think has got to get better is now they have this consistent platform, hopefully, is now getting the consistency in the performance of the individuals using the platform.
Right.
Because if you have 7 inspectors in a particular area, or 6 or 5 or 4, whatever it is, or 2 or 3, and 75% of your code violations are coming from one person, maybe there's something that has to be looked at.
Well, and you gotta, again, we're kind of in this economic boom here, where you can't find more inspectors. I'm sure they're understaffed.
They are
paid,
very short.
and they get to deal with all of these contractors that are starting today.
Yeah.
This is their first go.
Oh, yeah.
They probably explain these rules 100 times over. And I'm sure there's a point where it's like, okay, meathead, I've said this 100 times. You guys have got to educate yourself.
Absolutely.
And
And
then,
there's a piece of that. As a professional, you owe it to yourself to be a professional. And to not have to.
it's just, and I've had it's on one house, this is good, on the next house. And I'm totally cool with the codes. Just, enforcement in the city needs to establish, a police officer can use his judgment. Everybody doesn't get a speeding ticket at 5 over. Some do, some don't. They have the authority to make the decision.
I guess I go back to this is if you put a specification out there, I can meet it. You put a blueprint out there, I can bid and build to it. You put a code out there, I can meet the code. I can. It's those gray areas that I think that people are upset about. It's not the code. It's good today, but it's wrong tomorrow, and that's upsetting. And I don't care who you are. You can be the most professional, longest-term builder in the city of Sioux Falls, but if they tell you it's all right today and it's wrong tomorrow, you're going to be upset. And especially when you find that out, if you can't have that conversation with them to say, "Hey, why did you do this?" and you get that, "Hey, I'm not here to educate you." No, you do owe it to me to tell me why it was good yesterday and not good today.
Sounds like an NFL referee.
But again, I'm all for code enforcement. I support the city staff. I support what they do. I'm all for it in the name of life safety, in the name of project safety, in the name of longevity of our projects that we build. I don't like it when it starts to infringe upon the ability of this business or this city to grow. when it starts to infringe upon businesses and homeowners and their pocketbooks and their ability to build the home they want or to build the business they want because of the cost impact of what's going on, then it starts to be a problem.
I just one note, by the way, if you are ever in a criminal trial and you're in front of a judge, I'm just on the note of like, on the type of day, on how they're feeling, if you're in front of a judge, make sure you're not getting your sentence before lunch. It's statistically noted that you will get a worse sentence before lunch. After lunch is the best time. So 1 o'clock. Yes. After lunch, they'd be much better.
And maybe buy them lunch.
Yeah, buy them lunch. Oh, well, that's bribery, probably. Okay, so I think that's good.
Can I ask that we talk about design for a little bit?
Yeah.
Is that a relevant topic?
No, it is a very relevant topic.
Okay,
We have
alright.
we have that one right
Well,
there.
we're running out of time and I'm getting anxious.
Yeah, sorry. All right, so well, and actually, I think that's emphasized design, right there. And one of the, and actually, our last conversation we did, it was what is good design. It was a big focus on, and so I guess the question is like, how do we emphasize design in this community? How do we get people to realize the value of design in this community? And what are the best routes of like really informing people what is good design?
Well, it's very subjective, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes
How
and
do-
no.
How does good design fit in with so many of the covenants there in these neighborhoods where everybody has the same baby poo color house and 412 pitch roof and
It is.
I mean what part of design do we have to talk to? Because I have friends that come in from out of town and they go, don't you get tired of looking at this?
It's all relative though,
It's what people are used to buying now, but
Yeah, I had when I was in school, there was a professor that came from the sister school in Berlin, and they would switch, and this was California, and he was enamored with the sameness.
nice way of putting it.
What was your question? Did you have some questions in regards to design? Or?
My filter in this part of the conversation is in the book stew that we did. There was a book that talked about like the 7 layers of design or the 7 layers of architecture, and how working from the outside in, your foundational level is level 1, and that doesn't change. And then as you work towards the inside, then these levels change at different rates of time. Your exterior changes every 30 years, and then you get more to the inside, and that changes every 10 years or 15 years. And pretty soon you get to the interior surfaces, which change about every 3 years. And so then that affects your design and your design decisions. And then overall, if you know you're going to be doing a new footprint on your kitchen cabinets, wouldn't that affect your design when you know they're only there for 3 years?
I think that's what's called trends. Yeah, it is. And, if I asked everybody to think about one word, what does the word home mean? Think about it. It's going to be different for everyone. So from the subjective point of view, yes, it absolutely is. And there's a lot of things that interfere with that concept as we go older. We evolve. We become more knowledgeable. We understand ourselves and what we want. So there is no. I have my own definition of what good design is, and I think Jordan would have his own. And then where does that fit in the community contextually? So it's almost an unanswerable question to some degree, but we're all defined by how well we resolve it. And resolve it for ourselves.
Well, and it's the space you live in. It's a reflection of yourself. So I think it's rooting it in a concept, rooting it in something deeper, like a feeling or something like that, as opposed to, I mean, obviously when you get deeper into like actually building it and actually costing it out and everything, you have to ground it and put it in a place that you can put numbers to and cost outs and all that and bid it. But I think it's a matter of attaching some ideas and some words to it, and connecting, like whether it be a mood board or something like that, and start playing in that realm, and then make some prototypes, make some ideas, write it, draw it out, and then you come to a designer who can help like take all that mismatch of ideas and form it.
Designing homes
Yeah.
is much more difficult than designing buildings that are meant for commercial spaces.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with individual people, and every person is different. And every home takes on its own form of whoever their inhabitant is. Some homes, like in your track setting, is designing a home that fits most. Like your ball cap, you go buy a ball cap, one size fits most. And when you start dealing with, I want something different, which is 90% of people who come talk to us, which is really 100% of everybody, they just want to be themselves. And some people, it's, I want to wear this because everyone's wearing it, and all those things, and like, just because of how you dress and what your style is, your home really does say a lot about who you are as a person.
And for me, with that design piece of it on our part of the industry, and we're seeing it more now, and just a little snapshot of what, like LED lighting has completely revolutionized the electrical world as far as design. In the past, electrical, I've got lay-in lights and can lights, and this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna, blah. And that was what you did, and that was just, structures have had those same lighting designs for years and years and years and years. LEDs have set the world just completely upside down. I mean, you can make whatever you want, shape and style and design, and color and whatever in lighting now. I mean, you can do anything. The sky is absolutely the limit. But what it scares me on is going back to this, if that trends or designs are so, what you want in lighting is this, and then somebody's moving in 2 years or whatever, and they're going, what in the hell did they do here? I was walking around, in fact, at the home show, because I don't get to see residential fixtures that much, and I was walking around looking at some of the residential light fixtures that are out there, and I'm like, oh my.
That's gonna be gone.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome right now, and it looks really neat, but in 3 years, nobody will touch that. It won't even, and because, a couple things, that product may not even be available. With this LED revolution that we're seeing, these products are coming and going so fast. Products that you can buy today, you can't, they're gonna be gone in a year. You won't be able to get them, the drivers are obsolete, the LED, everything. And the advancements are happening so fast that it's putting those things obsolete so quickly. It's happening. We're taking out product that we installed even on the commercial setting 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and replacing it with new product today because the energy efficiencies and things that are happening so quickly. So with that design piece of it, yeah, there's that human, I love this, I think this is what looks good, it's me, it's what I want in my home, but do we owe it to our customers to pick something or help them, guide them to products that are also, yes, this says who you are, but yes, you can keep this longer than a year or 2 years, or you can sell your house with this. You don't have to, when you go to sell your house, you have to completely redo this.
Well, could it be a matter of like, what to your original point, is it like how to make something that is timeless, how to make something that does last, that isn't like succumb to the trends? I mean, if you look at like in the engineering world, like biomimicry, where we look at things in nature, patterns in nature that then that are used to develop innovative technologies and whatnot. Like you look at wind turbines wind turbines in general are based off of whale fins. Well, if you look at things in nature, like how we are affected by a space, Taliesin West, Frank Lloyd Wright. You go into a place, you go into it, you're giving me cues. You go into the first room where you would meet Frank Lloyd Wright to sit down and talk about your plan. You come over, and it's not some big archway, it's not some giant column, it's not anything like that. You come over, and it's this little door that opens. Yep, and the ceiling's right here. And you go down like this, and they have a screened in roof right there, and they have the table right there. But what happens is, you come in, and the room opens, and you feel it. That's timeless. So, and I think that my issue with design, I come from a theater background, so my whole thing is if I'm gonna design something, it's to make you feel something. And when you see the show and it has, and there's something that happens and you feel a nemesis, basically this opening within your heart or whatever you want to call it. So I think that's what I have a problem with in design, in this community, or just in general. There's so much focus on the cost and all these different things, and oh look, I have columns, so it means I'm like a bank, so I have so much money. Like it's how does it make the space make you feel? Like what's yeah.
Well, you know, it goes, you know, a lot of times I end up going back to that. It's traditional, it's timeless, it's gonna, you know, it solves a lot of issues, quite honestly. But you know, what I always wanted to do was, you know, find the client that really understands what, and I mean, it's not an understanding thing, it's more of an interest in making a statement with the project that they're making. Nobody wants to do that, or there's maybe 2% of the planet that even thinks about things like that. And as an example, when the Berlin Wall came down, there was a large museum was planned there. It's updating, and the winning entrance, the winning proposal to build a museum right at the site of the wall. And now where there was wall, now there's hallways. Where there were obstacles and machine guns, and now there's forced perspectives. And it was the opposite of the Berlin Wall.
There's actually the posts that are offset off one another that run a large portion of it, so you see through it, but but you have the outline of what the wall was, what that separation was.
Yeah. So you know, it's a, you know, anybody that was involved with that project would have been, you know, anybody in my position would have been fascinated to work on that. Right? That is not something everybody wants to build. In Sioux Falls, it's about as far away from what we build as I can think of, to be quite honest with you. But that would really elevate our, you know, our visual intelligence if that were so desired. I think most people around here are interested in building closer to what they think of when they think of home, because that's where they're comfortable. It's what they grew up in, and they're not, even though they may like really modern architecture, they're not really ready to spend the money to find out if that's how they want to live. You know?
Well, nobody wants to be that guy that stands out, you know.
And there's that
the,
too.
You know, the only contemporary house on a traditional
And
block.
I have to admit, you know, I love modern architecture, but I don't know that I would build something like that for myself. You know? So, you know, I think it really comes down to what is good architecture is what is good for you and what makes you feel good.
Isn't that kind of a postmodern thought, though?
Kind of
Postmodern
is.
thinking, where whatever is good for you is what's good.
It wasn't a question,
She's just letting me know. Just letting me know. No, on that point, it was. Oh, sorry.
That was my point.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, I saw 5 and I got confused. Yeah, it is
So in our
postmodern.
postmodern world,
I can have whatever this is.
I have
I'm gonna have a
my
house that's
conception.
tipped up here, and then there's gonna be pants that are coming off it, and
But I also think as an artist that I like the fact that I like simple architecture, and then as you can go in and you can put art, furnishings, interior designs, that's what really creates your home, I think. You know, and that's something you can change all the time, and you can change it quite a bit, and relatively you don't have to spend a lot of money to do that.
Well, and that's where I was getting at with my fear is when people have these custom visions and ideas is being careful with the consumer. Back to this LED thing is that don't put something in there that doesn't allow that change economically. Don't build in this fancy lighting into the furnishings, into the home, into whatever, that's gonna be obsolete in 3 years, and now in order to get rid of it, it's gonna cost you $20,000 in upgrades in your home, so you don't have to have that stupid feature anymore. Think about what you're doing, think about it. Have vision, have heart, have soul. I love the idea of and I'm about the most uncreative person you'll ever meet. I can barely draw a stick figure, but I have a passion for what I like. When I see it, I like it. When I know it, I love it. It moves me, it tells me, hey, this looks beautiful. But be careful what you pick so that it doesn't create problems for you if you're not going to be, if this is not your forever home, if this is not your forever whatever, be careful what you're doing, because you may cause yourself a problem with your design feature that you wanted that now is an issue.
But those decisions take discussions too, because I know if there is an ultimately wrong decision to make, my mother will make it.
I just tell my mom.
And there is nobody who can teach her otherwise.
Well, an LED, I think, is a, I mean, for me, just listening, so how do you pick a light? I mean, if it's gonna be obsolete in 6 months or 12 months, I mean, how do you even, like, not much of a computer dude, but to go buy a new computer, it's a little overwhelming. Like, this thing's gonna be done in like 6 months, where I can get one way better. This one still works just fine, but the next little gadget is cooler, but doesn't really, I mean, the efficiency part of it, you know, where does that kind of draw the line? I mean, design kind of the, you know, a rock's a rock's a rock is forever. I mean, you know, what's, you know, paint colors, you know, a space is a space forever. You know, falling water, flint colored, right? You walk in, I mean, that's, how old is it? You walk in there and you still get the same, wow.
Yeah.
Every time.
Where I was at with that is I wouldn't pick technology
over.
and then have your design meet your technology. I would take your design and have your technology accent your design. Because if you do it the other way, that technology,
We don't have to keep up.
that technology fails or goes away, now you've got your design stuck to what you had. And that technology is ever changing. But I see it happening. People are doing it right now. So it's one of the things I warn you about, whether it's in residential or commercial. Let your designer design what it looks like, and with you, let them design that awesome space, and then use the technology to highlight the space.
It's kind of like building around a television, building a living room around a television in like 2000.
Yeah, how many people
And
built those giant holes in the
just
wall?
holes that are like this, and like, oh wait, now we're widescreen.
Yeah, but
Everybody-
Now got heard.
Yeah, right.
Have you, there's a new technology, I wonder if Muth Electric has had to use this. It's LED wallpaper. Have you
I've
seen
seen
that?
it, and we have not installed it yet.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's
I
very
work
good.
in large format printing, and you literally print it, and it's literally flat, just like regular wallpaper. And restaurants and hotels are using it mostly now to set moods.
Yeah.
And so there's a pattern on the wall, on the wallpaper, like normal wallpaper,
Yeah.
and then the lighting is strung through certain areas. So it's super cool. It sets moods
No,
and
it's all-
ambiance, and a lot of restaurants that are using it don't even have regular lighting.
It's basically film. You can put it right on
Yeah.
the ceiling and whatever.
Yeah,
wall.
it's really cool.
Which is great in a good space. Let's
Yeah.
all stand shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
Simplify the
All of a
process.
sudden, that lighting doesn't really need.
It's a manufactured film.
That beats my scratch and sniff.
Yeah.
It tastes like gooseberries.
It's like
Mix them together.
Let's just a few more things to wrap it up. Yes.
Yeah, real quickly, this goes back, I want to say it's in the mid-90s. Microsoft at the time, Bill Gates, the CEO, president, he released a film that said in 15 years, this is what houses are going to be. And he had a house set up where 100% computerized. All guests would have their own personalized bracelets. When you walked into the house, the walls would change colors.
I don't remember that.
Do you remember seeing
Yeah.
it? It was like it was weird. You're like looking at it, yeah. And it would change based on mood. It would change based on your preferences, what colors you like. It was, you know. I don't know what his house is like now.
We have that now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you do, kinda, yeah.
You can do that, that's the.
It's a question of if you want to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if
Still
that's your
want to.
personality.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Still a lesson.
Good enough to do this, we can build it.
Cool. Any final questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Well, I'd like to thank our panelists here.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you all for joining us. Yeah.
Real quick, just in closing, and we maybe didn't get to some of the things we thought, but I really enjoyed this conversation and with everybody. One of the things I said, I did come here, it was kind of thinking about that lean construction process. If anybody's interested in it and wants to talk more about it, please reach out to us. I'll give cards out afterwards or whatever. I'd love to talk to you one-on-one, learn more, have more conversations. Because I think that one of the things we maybe didn't talk about is how does that lean construction process work into the residential markets and start streamlining what
That might
you
be
do for
another
efficiencies.
talk, actually. So,
yeah,
right.
So I think we got some cool topics, but
And I just have a little disclaimer, my wife bought me some new glasses because she thought it would make me look smarter. I said, no, I need to sound smarter. I don't think it works. I apologize.
Oh, yes.
Can I let everybody know that I've been recording the conversation tonight, and if anybody wants to watch it in a day or so, it'll be on southdakola.com. I'll give you a card, and you can check in.
That's nice. Thank you. All right, well, thank you.
Great venue, by the way.
We don't come up here to entertain you. We come up here to inform you.
What kind of morons run this outfit?